Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to another episode here at BoP. Sorry, guys, that we are late. Yes, it's not me this time, but yes, we do have somebody that is a little bit late. So Chris is running late. He's going to definitely come here. Um, guys, how we doing in the chat? Make sure you guys, let us know how you're feeling. After that, we're going to go talk to the boys. We've got, Willow, Z, Chris is coming. Lots to talk about, boys. Lots to talk about. I think it's a
Mm.
huge, huge game for narrative. I don't think I was ever going to be worried about the outcome of this game, but I'll be honest, guys. I think this is huge for narrative. So we'll just go around kind of how everyone's feeling. Guys, Willow taught me about rings. Apparently, that's a thing that the kids are doing these days. So, a new facet to my going out life is going to have to involve some rings. But Willow, mate, how you doing?
I'm so good, mate. I'm absolutely buzzing after that performance. This is my favourite win of the season. I don't know about you, George. I don't know where you rank it on this season's wins,
Hmm.
but this is my favourite one.
I think it's one of my favorite emotional ones. It's up there with Spurs for me. Like I lost my shit on
Mm.
Spurs, but yeah, no, this one's pretty up there from the narrative police. Z mate, how you doing?
Yeah, no, honestly, I'm really good. Yeah, I share the same sentiment as Willow, man. Honestly, it was such a feeling and quite a contrast from our last game against Wolves last season, when we got cheated of a defeat, and we came back the next day feeling like absolute crap. Today, I woke up like a happy man, and I just had such a good day, honestly. And I'm just so happy to talk about yesterday's game.
Mm.
Yeah, mate. No, no. Look, I am just so excited to get into it because, guys, there's a lot of tactical stuff that kind of went on, and there we go. Chris is here. Chris, mate, how you doing? You good?
I'm good, man. How you?
Good, bro. Good, bro. Yeah. So we were just saying, like, guys, it's immense in terms of what this stuff means. But I'm trying to put things into context. So, kind of in doing that, let's pull up kind of Wolves in general. Let's talk Wolves before we get into the starting lineup. Let's talk about who they are as an opponent and why the narrative police are so happy at the end of the game. And I'll go to Willow on this, but first, just for everybody that's in the comments, big like, comment, subscribe. Make sure you guys do all those wonderful things. Hit that post notification to let you know when we do upload. But let's just get into it. None of this like shirking around the bush. So we look at Wolves and their defensive rankings here. Guys, this is not too bad. Bruno Lage is doing an incredible job. And in the last 7 games, they have a very similar form table to us. In fact, it is the exact same. So you're basically looking at a Wolves team that is no schmuck. So you're looking at basically goals conceded, goals from open play. They are a resolute side that don't give you goals. And in fact, it was probably the worst team in the league, at least on form here, when you do look at their defensive rankings, to kind of gift a goal so early in the game. So in terms of narrative, it was definitely a tough time. But I mean, I'll go to Willow first, mate. How were you feeling going into this game in terms of the buildup? So we've got everything in the background that Neves is a bitch. He's sorry to make you laugh there, but he is. And we had all of that stuff happening, but then you've also got the tactical terms, okay?
Mm.
Defensive resolute team. Bruno Lage is a really, good coach. He's a good defensive coordinator. What do you make of kind of those defensive stats and what we're seeing?
It's unbelievable what he's done this year. Like, if you look at their record, what is it? This last 10 games, 7 wins, 1 draw, 2 losses, and the 2 losses are to us. So the only team he's losing against at the moment is Arsenal Football Club. They're an unreal team to break down. If they go up, they don't lose. They don't lose, and it's been that way. I think since 2018. I think this is the first time they've lost after going 1 goal after being up. This is the first time they've lost since 2018. That is an unbelievable stat to do that as a football club. And Bruno Lage has, he's implemented that as well. They just don't look like they find it's so difficult to break down this Wolves team. The way they play, I think, we all had a conversation. We were all nervous about how we were going to play with the Xhaka being so high up. And I think we saw it at the start of the game as well. With
We'll,
it
we'll, we'll
was
definitely get into it, Willow, because
yeah.
it was a tactical mishap, and I'm not going to sit here and say it was sunshine and roses. We did
Mhm.
struggle in the first half, and there was definitely some tactical reasons. But yeah, sorry, go ahead, mate.
But yeah, like carrying on with it, the build up, it was going to be a tight game. I think we all predicted a tight game. I think
Mm.
you predicted a 3-1, didn't you? So you weren't far off. You're only 1 goal off. I predicted a 2-0, so I was the goal off with conceding. But it was just going to be a really, really tough game. They had Pedro Neto back as well, and I think we were all worried about that and what they were going to do there. It was always going to be a really, really tough game.
You know what it is? Like he's so good at coaching those spacings between his three. It's not just the three at the back. People say it's a defensive system, but it's how you utilize it. I very much argue that it isn't really a defensive system. It's actually quite attacking when you think about it as a coach. And I'll tell you why.
Mm,
You're adding players in attack. Like the
yeah,
wingbacks aren't meant to be defenders. They're meant to basically add something in attack. So for me, he does really good job spacing, but also Raul Jimenez and Chanley. I'm not even going to attempt his first name, but those two are so good in terms of being outlets of dropping deep. And of course, there's Potence, but they're so physical that they're able to turn you and they transition so quick. So Wolves are able to really, on a dime and on a pence, go from this block into your half. And so that's what makes them so, so dangerous, not just to every team in the league, just in general, and it helps their defensive positioning. So yeah, mate, like I'm with you. I
yeah,
was going into this game feeling I felt that we would dominate, and I think we did. There's a point that I do want to make, and I'm going to go to Z now, basically, on this for this part of the narrative, police. So there was this narrative, Z, that it was a close game, and I'm just going to reel off some stats for people. So despite the score line, Arsenal had big possession, so you're happy. They had 55%, not quite the 70 that we wanted, but they had 26 shots to 6. They had 52 touches, in the final third. 19 of which have come from, I think it was Odegaard who was our biggest final third impact, in my opinion, but we'll get to that. But you look at those stats, Z, we had almost 2.88 XG to 0.98. Like, this wasn't a simple win. This wasn't a close game, despite the troubles that we did have. And we did have troubles. It's not perfect, but what do you make of those kind of statistics in the overall view? Because Wolves are a very, very tough opponent. And when you have 52 touches in somebody's final third box, you've got 26 shots to 6. You look at the territory, which we're definitely going to start showing for people. I really think that this was a statement win. It was against a very good team. Like, what do you make of those kind of stats? Like, do you think it's as close as what people were saying, or you kind of on my side where we killed them? It wasn't just a great win, but we killed them doing it well.
I mean,
I think he's
yeah,
busy. I did
I,
all that
I,
setup. Oh, you
Yeah,
there?
I'm
You
just
there?
sorry.
Yeah.
I was speaking alone. Anyway, so I was saying, unless you have some kind of agenda, if you're watching the game, you would clearly see that we dominated the game despite conceding that goal, and that goal came from us. We
Hmm.
made that mistake and we gave it to them. But the fact is, since we scored that goal and we had some issues technically in midfield, where I feel like Xhaka had a bit of a issue being a bit further forward. We still created chances on the left, on the right, and I don't think Saka had his best game, and I don't think Martinelli had his best game, but because of Erdegaard and how he to play. We were still creating chances, and I don't think Wolves did anything. And Neves came out and said himself that from the moment that they scored, they didn't do anything else to win the game. And I think at the end, the 2-1 result, we kind of deserved it. I also think the way Lacazette played, I think he had a good game, but he just wasn't able to finish anything or whatever. It's just the fact that the scoreline kind of flatters them. I'm so glad that the stats are there. The XG also kind of shows that what I'm seeing. We deserve to win at least by another goal. At least we deserve to win 3-1 in my opinion. And it's good that we showed that against one of the best defensive teams in the league. I think what, after today's game, we've kind of turned a corner. This is one of the biggest statements that we could have done this season, and I hope that other people are kind of agreeing with me on that.
Yeah, mate, absolutely. And like, as we're talking, I'm just going to put up the stats for people. Just, I kind of rattled them off as well as, like the 52. But guys, this was a dominant win. This wasn't like a very, contested win, really great. Despite us having some troubles tactically in territory, the output at the end of the day was really so, so clear. And, in terms of Haas, who I know is going to be watching either now or a little bit later, we zooged them, so to speak. And when you look at this kind of performance, it's hard not to get excited because again, this is a good team. We've talked about the stats with Wolves, and to do this to that kind of team, it absolutely is special. It is. Not many people do that to Wolves, and it was just so nice with the narrative about what they were doing before, and how loud that they were talking. That we were able to do something like this to them. It was nice to actually claim your authority for once. I feel as though Arsenal are in this constant battle until you're at the very top to claim that status back, to claim
Yeah.
that, whether that's through referee decision, whether that's through how rivals view you and whatnot. And these type of performances against teams everybody considers as probably the best outside the traditional top six, they do their wonders in trying to destroy that narrative. So I'll go to Chris first in the last narrative question. So, mate, last little barrier that we're basically going to get over is we have finally won after going behind under Mikel Arteta. A weird fact, but we haven't done that since his arrival. It is the very first time that Arsenal have done that. So now we basically haven't really got a barrier for people to hit them with. I'm looking at all the the weirdos out there that don't see what we're doing, and I'm counting. That was one of the barriers, the obstacles that they keep loving to cite. This weird stat. So Chris, mate, like, how important is it to destroy that narrative? Not really, I think, for fans, but also as the team. We kind of do worry about this young team, the line, how aggressive they can keep up the line. How important do you think it is for them to finally have a game where they came back from behind to win after deserving to win? Because it is the first time that we've done that, which I do think is important in a team.
Yeah, even Arteta said that at half time. He told them that this is a time for you to prove that you're worthy of top four and you can overcome the other teams that you're playing against. Obviously, it's very important to come back from behind. You'd prefer that you never have to and always in front, but the reality is we're going to have to come back from behind. Obviously, Wolves, 3 years, they haven't lost when they've gone one up, but that's changed now. I think the narrative is important that we've come back from behind and then won. As the way we won, maybe could have done better. Like in the first half, we lost a lot of duels, and then we won the duels in the second half. So a lot changed. We had more shots in the second half than the first half. Like the second half was a lot more energized performance. I think there was more like conviction and just like more decisiveness. And obviously, we're going to go into it in depth, but I think there was a big switch from the first to the second half. That is just testament to them realizing the situation they were in, because it would have been a loss in another place where you had everyone's talking, oh my God, if Arsenal win this game in hand, they can capitalize and go above. So it was just a big game for them to finally switch the narrative.
Yeah, and you know what, guys, I feel like we always do that little starting 11 thing. I think I'm just gonna skip over that boring segment and basically say, guys, anybody put their voice up if you felt that there was any weird selections. For me, Tomiyasu clearly is not fit, so it's like, okay, Ratsi's not in. ESR, we found out he was ill. So Ratsi's not in. I will say the only thing that I'm going to add some nuance on is I felt that Emile Smith-Rowe was super important in this game. We did see the limitations of a Gabriel Martinelli against this type of team, this type of formation. I think it kind of even showed why, wink, wink, nudge, nudge, some of us think he's a striker. But anyways, I think with Emile in this team, you see us capitalize on a lot more chances, capitalize on a lot of those promising situations far more. But again, they were both kind of forced out of the squad from external circumstance. So, like, was there any surprises for anybody in the starting lineup at all?
No. I think that's what we had to really go with. I don't think we had really any other option than to go with that. I mean, unless people want to start a Pepe, but I think he's better off the bench. Then I don't think there's really anything else you can do. We have a small squad.
Yeah, no, we do. I mean, Z, mate, quickly, like, what about you? Is there a surprise necessarily, or like, do you kind of maybe agree or disagree with my opinion on kind of the ESR Martinelli thing really quickly?
Not really. No, I mean I don't. But to be fair, I even said it last time. I feel like ESR on the left just flows a bit better, and he works a lot better with Kieran Tierney. And I think that should have been the way, for the game. Unfortunately, he's got COVID, so he wasn't able to play. But I think as soon as he's back, he should be back in the starting lineup. We should find a way to get Martinelli, playing up front as a striker, because I feel like him playing touchline, it just doesn't work for him. He's not a winger for me at all.
Yeah, and like, don't worry, Raul. Like, we'll definitely get into it. It was a little bit of both. There was definitely some luck involved because Gabriel has a really poor mistake, but they did target him kind of in build-up. But we'll definitely get into kind of some of the struggles that we're really doing. But yeah, I'll go to Chris, you lastly, like, do you have any changes in terms of the starting 11? And maybe if you want to put it up as you're talking, just for people, we kind of put it up quickly. Sorry, I'm trying to find it. I'm still getting used to this tech thing, but do you want to maybe give your opinion on that starting lineup?
Well, really, just was like basically what we could have done without Emil, because I think if Emil was there, maybe he would have started. But apart from that, pretty much what I expected. Ramsdale, Cedric, White, Gabriel, Tierney is what always happens when Tommy's injured, and the front five is the same. The front six is the same.
Yeah.
So yeah, I wouldn't have done much.
Yeah, and I mean, like, just really quickly looking before we take this away, like, the only real thing is, of course, Moutinho. I just wanted to highlight that really quickly, like, when you guys see, and I think Wang and Podence were opposite sides. That's probably the only little things, but, the infographic on BT, they get those things weirded. But yeah, guys, I think for people in the comments, it's a lot of what we expected, especially with their injury situations. And I think even our kind of our bench, which was, annoying, but it was nice to see Amari on there. I don't know if people actually were able to remember that after the ecstasy of yesterday. But guys, let's get into essentially the troubles that we had at the start, because, a lot of people have, kind of highlighted in the comments, look, did people target people? What was kind of some of the issues? Because I would say the first probably 15 minutes or so were us struggling to really impose ourselves on the game. I think there was a couple tactical issues. I think when you are looking at it, this 4-3-3 gave Podence and, people in the half spaces time and space. It did. And we were getting kind of played through. So I'll firstly go to Chris. We'll vary it up here. I'm going to put something on my screen for everybody in the comments. And again, guys, we promised you visuals, so I'm trying to work my magic here. And we just do this, bam, and we get a spotlight. Look at that. This is the kind of stuff that you guys pay money for, or not, and you just like this stuff. But, mate, this situation was rife essentially the entire first 15 minutes. And it comes down to really Granit Xhaka being so high up the pitch. We open ourselves to that half space. What do you kind of think is the problem in the first 15 minutes here? Is this simply a formation issue, or was this just kind of the perfect antidote to what Wolves were offering essentially? Where do you stand on it?
Or like the first 50 minutes, really, he was continuously getting fouled in that half space. Even the second half, right at the start, that Hangi Chan chance, it was him getting fouled on that right side and playing it through. I think it wasn't just like a personnel error. I think Xhaka did drop a bit deeper after this kept happening as a like antidote for him to stop happening. But yeah, he was probably their biggest threat in that half space. This was a really scary chance, actually, a big chance for them that Jimenez actually ruined. It was an easy chance for him to score, I think. But yeah, it just kept happening. And I think Xhaka, you can see where Xhaka is. He shouldn't be there. He's a lot higher than I think he should be. And he should be probably behind the ball at that point. But it was an exploit for Xhaka trying to press high on Neves. And he picked him off. And that's why I think the issue was there.
Yeah, and look, guys, at the end of the day, this is what we highlighted in the preview. I was worried. I didn't want us to continue with this 4-3-3 because of this issue. And guys, it did get exploited. And at the end of the day, Wolves, when you do look at it, they did target Cedric and Gabriel kind of as pressing triggers in a sense of pressure, but we do normally play out from there. I don't think that's a major problem. For me, this was the major problem against a 3 at the back team that you have people dropping into the half space where they're going to overload you central. So I'll ask Willow kind of a similar question, because this is like a good nugget to have, and I'll just put it up on the screen again and we'll just talk about this. If you really look at it, Wolves, they have an overload on that side. It's a 2v1, right? You're going to basically look at Podence and Samito out wide, and Kieran is pointing at Xhaka to come back. But I don't blame Xhaka as much on this, because this is a tactical kind of consequence of the system. When you play against a 3 at the back team, they have overloads in the half spaces. And for me, when you play a lone pivot, that's where you're weak in transition. So for me, it didn't really make sense in terms of what we were doing. And I do think that we struggled for a long time to really keep ourselves on it. And it wasn't really until we started putting our foot on the ball that we were able to stop this from happening. But Wolves carried this threat pretty much all game. So where do you stand on kind of that first half and the 4-3-3 struggle, I'll call it? For you, was that something that could have been avoided from personnel, or was that simply a consequence of the tactical decision to go 4-3-3 against the three at the back?
I don't think it's down to personnel because you put the best 11 out on the pitch, and that's all you can do, really. I think that is down to a tactical issue, especially playing them 2 weeks ago and knowing what was wrong. You would hope you'd be able to tinker with that and get it right, but obviously they didn't do it. It's even harder when you've got someone like Martinelli being the one to be the up front pressing trio, going high up, because then Kieran's left with absolutely no one, because then Xhaka's also pressing up. You're like, okay, if you're going to do that, then you need Laka to come further back into that space. And Laka wasn't doing that. He was staying further more to the right. So you had Odegaard, Laka, Partey and Cedric all on the right-hand side. There was just so much space left over. I didn't think it was the whole half that it was like that. I think we did get a bit better. I think Xhaka was a bit less aggressive as the half went on. But the first 15, 20 minutes, we kept on getting caught out. And Kieran, bless him, I don't think he knew really what to do. He didn't know whether to go. He didn't know whether to stay. And he really did struggle that game. But I don't fully put that down to him. I do put that down to the tactical issues that Mikel did do. He did get that wrong.
Yeah, and then I'll go to Z quickly, mate. Like Kieran's getting a lot of flack on the timeline, which I don't understand because look, when you have a situation like this is a breakdown. This isn't Kieran making a mistake. This is a breakdown. He's 2v1, and we saw that constantly with Semedo. And, he's not really inverted. This is another big thing. Like when we're in possession, he tucks in, but outside of that, it's not a constant thing. We are very fluid. We talked about this at Brentford, right, Z-mate? Like we didn't say Odegaard's constantly on the right. Cedric is there. Odegaard's there. Saka's there. Like we switch. We have to get away from this stupid formation argument. It's a zone. We got to understand it's a 2-3-5, right? But Tierney in specifically, like he is kind of a kryptonite to this role, right? And even Xhaka in general. Like if you have Xhaka high up the pitch, it's gonna happen. He's unathletic. He's poor in transitions. This is something that you risk playing this way. Where do you sit kind of on Kieran and his form? Because just some things to highlight as well. By the way, he has the same amount of assists as he did last season. The only thing that has dropped are the expected assists, which you get. He's deeper, so he's not going to be in higher positions, but he has the same number of successful crosses in the box. So where do you stand on this Kieran Tierney discourse? I just think he's learning a new role, and it's literally as simple as that.
That's exactly what it seems to me. I mean, at first when I started at the start of the season, he was pretty poor, but I think he's come back and he's kind of shown that he can get back into form. I only feel like his current performances when he's playing with Martinelli, it just feels like he's not able to establish that kind of connection that he has with Emil Smith Rowe, and this is where it kind of goes wrong, especially when Xhaka pushes up and Martinelli's on the touchline. It just feels like he is left alone to do all the defending and for any attacks that's coming down his side. That's why when Semedo had that attack, it just felt like he was the only person that was going to be defending, and usually we'd see Emil Smith Rowe coming back that side and tracking back, and it just seems like there's no communication between them two, and this is where we're kind of basing an opinion based on a partnership that's not able to that's not working. You can have an opinion when Smith Rowe and Tierney plays again on the left hand side, and I'm sure you'll all see that there's probably going to be no issue, in my opinion, anyways.
Yeah, mate. And look, we will promise we'll get into those highlights, but I wanted to talk about one last structure thing. I want to be a narcissist because that is who I am. And in the preview, we basically said for anybody that was watching the preview, please go back because it literally happened as we said. So not only did we predict this kind of struggle at the BIC, but if you guys remember, I was very insistent on us doing a man marking job on Ruben Neves. Does everybody remember that?
Yeah.
You did say
Okay.
that.
We completely changed and we went from zonal, which is what we did in the previous game, to a man marking job. So I'll just really quickly, I'm going to take it over to you, Willow, and you can talk as I kind of present these, but let me just do that little presenting thing and walk everybody through some of the stuff. But essentially, Odegaard or, Lacazette, but it was mainly Odegaard, was doing a man-marking job on the deep progressor. So that was Neves or even Moutinho. So on the left-hand side, we saw this a lot, and it was after our kind of 20-minute struggle bus period. But Odegaard was kind of man marking, and we had really the wingers force play to the wingers or the wing backs, which is Semedo, who has the ball, and Odegaard is doing a wonderful job man marking, and we're not going zonal, so it stops that entry pass into midfield, so they really can't escape. And so when you start actually looking at this, what happened on the right-hand side, it was the exact same thing. So this is just a little bit more clearly, and I'll walk people in the comments through kind of this. Again, it is granted, it's Bukayo Saka, the winger, forcing play wide. How he's going to do it, he's going to rush and cut off the options in the middle. And so he's forcing him to go wide, where essentially Ryan Nuri has no options. He's the wide wing back in this scenario, but Cedric is really high. And by the way, if you guys remember, I'll quickly shift to the left. Kieran Tierney is doing the exact same thing. This is a 4-2-3-1 press. It was very calculated. And again, this time it's Odegaard going into the midfield, who is just Moutinho. But it's beautiful to see that essentially this press worked wonders. And I am just so glad that Mikel listened to George, because that's exactly what he did. But, I'm just so glad that we basically saw this change, because it's what, for me, changed the tide. Tactically was what allowed us to really bring on the pressure after, again, losing our bearings a little bit in the 4-3-3 in those first 20 minutes. So I'll go to Willow, mate, first. For you, did you see it as clearly as what I felt here, where you saw us really mark them out of the game in our press? Or was it just a coincidence, as the outers like to say?
No, definitely. And I think, I think we're seeing it more and more. I think you saw in the City game, Odegaard marked out Rodri that whole game. And I think we're getting a lot more fluid with it. With the opposition, we change what we do. We're not set in our ways of we're going to do this game. If it is a different team and we need to do something different, we're going to do something different. And Odegaard sat on Neves absolutely perfectly that whole game. And he did shift to Moutinho at times, but it was just absolutely perfect to take, because he is, this year, Ruben Neves has been unbelievable under Bruno Lage. Like he's killed teams the way he does. He's the progressor of their team. And to be able to stop him throughout that game it just kills their game. It kills their rhythm. He's the one who sets their tempo, and it just completely breaks balls down, because all you saw Wolves end up doing was just hoofing that ball. And who's brilliant at being able to just deal with them kind of balls? Ben White. Ben White was just feeding off it all day. Every ball that was coming, just getting hoofed up, because we just kept on marking Neves out of the game, and we just kept on winning possession back so easily, and then just kept on going and kept on triggering new attacks. It was so good to see.
Yeah, mate, it was beautiful. And I do want to open up basically the floor. Z, Chris, mate, do you guys have any little additions in terms of this press? I do think for me, this was the changing point in the game, along with one other thing, which I will give kind of meat on the bone for Chris to really dissect tactically. But I want to give a chance for you guys to talk about this press. So, Chris, we'll go to you first.
Well, really, it was a lopsided 4-2-3-1 with the fullbacks rotating ball side. So whichever side the ball was on, Cedric or Tierney would be high up if the ball was on their side. And the 4-2-3-1 was different because obviously last time we won 1-0, but Podence was creating problems for us because Neves was free with this triangle zone. We tried to press with them, and Neves was just lofting it over the press each time because it wasn't quick enough, and the press was just very poor last time. So we switched to a man-to-man where Odegaard and Early and maybe 70th minute onward, Xhaka would man-to-man press Neves or Moutinho on the ball, and it worked very differently to last time. Obviously, our press forced them longer a lot, and then it got Jose Sarr kind of scared, so he wasn't playing short. As the game went on, he started going long each time.
But that's the benefits made of a man-to-man, just really, really quickly. That is the benefit between man-to-man to zonal marking. You close the distances in your build-up, right? That's what that does. And when you have the players that are able to do it, it's great. But it's also why we seem to do this at 3 at the back systems. We did this with Lacazette at Aston Villa. We did it against Højbjerg, against, we also did it against Samare, against Leicester. This is what was successful for me against that type of system. And I think you saw...
The best 3 at the backs are generally man-to-mans that win their duels. Yes. The best example right now is Chelsea, probably. They won the Champions League through going man-to-man, stretching the distances and just winning their duels versus everyone. And in the first half, we did lose the duels, I think, 18-27 to Wolves. And then the second half, it was 30-18 the other way. So it definitely changed. And the press was, as the game just went on, the press was immense, honestly. The lopsided 4-3. I didn't expect the fullback to be so high. I did think we'd switch to go man-to-man. I didn't necessarily thought the fullbacks will be as high because Tierney was generally a left winger and Cedric was a right winger out of possession. And it was good to see that throughout the 90 minutes we carried it out and perfectly stopped Wolves, because they haven't been pressed off the pitch like that in in a very long time, and they said it themselves, to be fair.
I mean, look, for me, guys, like again, narcissism, Pat, because that's who I am. This is what I wanted. Like, it was chef's kiss. It was exactly what I wanted to see in the press. The only issue is in possession. I don't think it was great what we were seeing, and I think that's what resulted in the last little bit of a hairy minute. But really quickly, I'm going to give this actually to Willow first. See now, mate, we always love and appreciate these super chats, so we'll just get them up there. So there's a lot of stick on Martinelli's kind of name yesterday, and a lot of people are questioning his left wing role in quotations. What are your kind of thoughts on it? I know that you share similar opinions to me in terms of his future and his role, but like essentially take that little bit of a nugget, ESR versus Martinelli, what we would have seen in each of those positions had either of them gone. And I think that's the general question. But again, thank you so much. We appreciate anybody who super chat. So thank you. Go ahead, Willow.
I'm glad you read that out, mate, because you know me and see that I'd have to come here to
I
go
could see,
for
you
it.
can see Willow's doing this. So my quirk is coming on time, but Willow's is one of those. But yeah, go ahead, mate.
Yeah, I think we've all talked on the pod, haven't we, about we don't think Martinelli is a left winger. We think he's a striker. I think he's very, he's way too direct to be able to do that. I think he really struggled. I think he struggled one of the most out of everyone and being able to get involved in this game. He kept on like wanting to do things, but it never really come into fruition. And I think, ESR, if he was in that game, the amount of times I was like saying, I was watching it with my dad, like, damn, only if ESR was in that position, he would have been able to be more direct with it and bring it in and be able to hit that with a good ball striking. And I think Martinelli, he kept on wanting to go into the middle as well. He kept on wanting to go into that attacking position. And I think, again, that was more tactical as well, where I think he's still trying to work with it, where he's used to Tierney bombing up that side and him getting in the box to be able to get on the end of that finish. Well, now it's Xhaka coming up there. He doesn't have that same chemistry with what he's able to do. And I think ESR also works a lot better with Tierney as well. So I think he really did struggle in that. And I think the sooner we see Martinelli number 9, the better.
Yeah, that head down dribbling needs to happen, in the box. But again, I think a lot of this is semantics. We kind of talked about really the big system kind of positional rotations in the last game against Brentford, but I'm going to give this big nugget to Chris and then Z to follow up on. But guys, a huge part of this win. So we talked about the press, but let's talk about in possession, what we really, really did. And I'm going to put this picture up on the screen for everybody. And it's essentially, I want you guys to highlight on the spotlight that Chris has done a beautiful job, and that's Ben White. He has stepped into midfield, and we see this 2-3-5 that is just so beautiful, and it's why I really, by the way, push back on these people saying it's a lone pivot, because it really isn't. It's very simple. It's a 2-3-5, and Ben White was just amazing in this game. For me, he was man of the match. Because he was just orchestrating not just our build-up but our attacks. And a big tactic that we did is essentially going long off this play. Ben would step into midfield, he would go long, and we really exploited that space between the center back and the wing back, Chris. And Saka had a lot of 1v1 opportunities. He actually should have done better. I mean, we'll get into the specifics, but that was a ploy that we did because the wing backs at Wolves are so high that there's massive space there. And so most of the time the center backs were able to clean up, but Lacazette and Odegaard were very important in terms of collecting those second balls, right? And so that was really a tactic for us that I think a lot of people missed. Like, Ben was doing it not just to go long in quotations. It was a tactic to catch out the space that center back and wing back channel really did. And so while it didn't always come off, it was really important in terms of getting us up the pitch quickly, and it was a constant ploy that we really used. And it's not just us when we're in possession. Like here's another option where he's just at the back, and this is actually the Saka chance just right before, but he's in the back there and he sends an early ball. I just want to give it to you, mate. Maybe not so much on his man of the match, because we'll do that at the end, but how important was Ben White stepping into midfield, forming a part of that pivot? That it wasn't really the lone pivot.
It created this like overload, which makes it harder to press, because obviously when they're pressing, their pressing trigger on the ball was generally Gabriel. But if Ben White is going to step into the midfield and then create overload, it puts the defender in 2 minds, because whenever they the midfielder in 2 minds, because whenever they commit, him or Partey will just play this simple ball into Lacazette, who was very willing to receive this game and was actually a lot better on the half turn, I think, than he is normally. But I think once they got the balls over the top and the ball centrally, it was very hard for Wolves, because the variation in his passing and his dribbling is that it makes it very, very hard for the defender to commit to whatever he's going to do, because there were chances that Saka getting in behind them, Cody, and I think he took too long on his right foot to score. And there were other chances even in the second half where that Lacazette near post chance came from a ball over the top. Like a lot of our chances came from, even the Lacazette chip chance, the goal came from a ball over the first goal came from a ball over the top. Like in three of the backs, obviously when the system's gonna fall at some point. And when you're gonna have your wide centre backs covering that much space, if you go man to man and then your keeper gets scared of playing it short and he gets his kicks wrong, if he kicks it into midfield to generally Ben White or Partey, they're very, very consistent in finding that ball over the top. So whenever they kept doing that, it was causing them serious problems and giving us big chances that we didn't necessarily take care of. But when we did, we scored.
Yeah, it was cash money in a sense. And, this is just what three at the backs do, right? Like we talked about this in the preview where at least in out of possession, you got to be wary about the half space because that's where the overload is in a three at the back system. So whether it's Chelsea or whoever, so just some learning for people really quickly. Like if you're a coach and you're looking at three at the back systems, why typically people don't do a 4-3-3 and why a 4-3-3 can lose to a three at the back is because there's space in the half spaces. That is where the overloads lie. And we saw that with Granit Xhaka earlier. But alternatively, for an opposition team to really hurt a three at the back, you really have to go long. And guys, I'm just going to draw a parallel. How did we win our FA Cup in terms of using that? It was exactly through that. Quick switches for time in behind, out to Oba. And that is because there is space again. So just again for a learning curve for people.
And overloads, sorry to cut you off, but these overloads that Ben White was making, because generally it's man to man. If someone steps to meet Ben White, they're leaving gaps wherever they're coming from. It's the same thing we struggled with Wolves away, where if someone's stepping up, like Xhaka stepping up, and he can't meet the man fast enough, and the man Neves, who was fast enough to pick up the pass, it just gives someone so much space to work with because their marker got sucked in. So, and Ben White has been doing this for a long time, consistently. But this performance was very important because Gabriel kind of got scared, and obviously his mistake happened, and rightfully so, he got scared of the ball. So he either dilly-dallied or just gave it to Ben White consistently. So Ben White just took even more reins and just had fun with it. Like he's done, there's a lot yet to see from him in possession. Like his balls directly in the middle, incisive passes in the half spaces, like him higher up in the half spaces. But there's a lot that he's consistently getting on the ball. Same as Partey, they're just getting more confidence on the ball, I think. And when you're going to give them this time and space to pick up passes, they're going to punish you.
Yeah, and look, guys, we're going to get into the individual actions because we've gone almost 40 minutes, but I thought those tactical overviews, it was basically the story of the match. So for people, we're going to get into those individual actions, and I'm going to go to Z, and it's going to be kind of a Thomas Partey commentary. Look, mate, like a lot of people have talked about this lone six. He ended basically the match, most duels, most interceptions, second most chances created, most take-ons in the match. Another monster class, the idiots earlier saying that, he couldn't hack, he was a flop, and all that stuff being dispelled. Uncle Thomas has come back after his 4 out of 10 interview and just been immense. But I wanted to basically give you the first individual action of the match where I think it just typified Thomas Partey's transformation. So I think the biggest thing that people are seeing is he's slowed down his game. He's been a lot more composed, and awareness-wise, he's recognizing the space. And I want to go to the first 5 minutes in that offside goal. I encourage everybody to have a rewatch, go back and check it out. Thomas Partey recognizes he's the last man, and he makes a sprint to keep everybody offside. I think that typifies, mate, everything that we've seen as a change in Thomas Partey. Everything is quicker. He's adapted now. He's understanding where to be. Those issues where he gets caught on the ball. He's recognizing space. I just wanted to give you the floor as like a little Thomas Partey appreciation because that was basically the first individual action that I think set him up for one of his better games again.
Yeah, no, honestly, it's like for me, one of the main things is earlier on in the season, it just felt like whenever Thomas had the ball, it just felt like it felt like he didn't have enough time on the ball. He was just panicking and he just wasn't making the right decisions. And this is why I kind of got confused. I was just like, is is the position that he's playing in, isn't that his best position? Because he would essentially play in a similar position where Xhaka should be playing. But now that he's playing a bit deeper in that kind of lone six kind of role, he's able to scan the pitch, and I feel like he's as more as there's been more games he's been playing, it feels like he's become a lot more comfortable. The variation in his passing, it's immaculate, really. Like he's able to switch. He's able to make short passes. He's been making passes, in between the lines as well. Like it's just amazing to see, and the way he's controlling tempo. This is one of my biggest pet peeves about midfielder. Is about it's when a midfielder cannot control tempo, because I really hate when the ball is moving very slowly in midfield, and he's now able to pick that up, and the ball is just it's just moving so fast, and it's like it's like a new player. It's like I'm watching a new player with elite talent, and it's really nice to see. I know, I agree with you, George. He deserves his flowers. Like he's been really good, in that position.
He's been good since he's been excellent since West Ham, and he's been good from before that, for my opinion. And I just wanted to highlight him quick. But let's get into the individual actions. We're going to do a quick roundup for everybody because I don't want to spend time on these stupid referees. We've said our piece. We know what it is. But guys, really quickly, there was some debate for some. Well, to be fair, me and Chris initially debated, but I think once he saw the replay, guys, this is the Gabriel Peno, which ironically comes from that Ben White crossball, by the way, in the first minute. But guys, this is just a stonewall penalty for me. I don't even understand how that can be debated, I'll be honest. Like, he misses the ball, but he's barged into by Semedo. Like, that is a penalty for me. Let's just go around the table. Like, Willow, penalty, yay or nay?
It's just my friends talk to me about it because they always think I'm a little moaner about Arsenal and talk about the refereeing decisions. But to be honest, I don't even watch the game, so I don't really care about their opinions. But they told me they looked at both angles and didn't see contact in the legs. So I was like, no, there's no contact in the legs. He literally body checks him to the floor. Like, he's about to take the shot and he literally just goes into him from behind and takes him down. Like, there's full body control there. Like, I don't get how these decisions keep on getting away from us, even with VAR. Like, what is even VAR anymore?
I don't know, mate. Like, I always preface this by saying we never use it here on BoP, and you will never hear a host on BoP say that's the reason we lost. We never will, okay? But at the same token, let's coin that phrase, call a spade, and we are experiencing less of the 50-50s, and it's just it is kind of corruption at this point. But that's not the reason we lose games. So,
but George, you know what annoyed me more than that decision? It was the offside goal. Do you know how long they took to check that? They didn't
Very
even
long.
They didn't check the penalty, but this offside goal, which was clearly offside, they used a weird angle, and they even took about 2 minutes to actually try and look for it. They do anything to try and get it out of us. It's disgusting.
Yeah, no, it is kind of crazy. And I'll just quickly go, Chris, for you, mate. I know it was tough at the beginning, but like, have we got you to the dark side, Peno?
I'm never on the dark side, one's on the bright side.
Yeah, I gotta watch. I'm gonna get canceled like that, of course. Now someone's gonna clip that. My God. Go ahead.
I had to just for you. But I do think it was. At first, I didn't think it was a penalty. Like, in the moment, obviously, we messaged during the game, so you were messaging me like, "Oh, it's a penalty, it's a clear penalty."
Yes.
And I was like, "Nah, it's not." But after the game, I really was, and I do think it was a pen just because he didn't touch the ball at all, and obviously Martinelli didn't get a clean connection on the ball. But I think that was more to do with Semedo just hitting him high up rather than him just missing the shot. So I do think it was a penalty, sadly.
Yeah, and Z-Mate, really quickly, penalty, yay or nay?
That's definitely a penalty. Can't believe the commentator was saying it's a coming together. They're gonna brainwash us, man.
Yeah, they're coming together to deny a penalty once again. So essentially, let's get into it because, again, I don't want it to all be positive. We're balanced here on BoP. And the first 20 minutes were tough, guys, and it really culminated in kind of Gabriel's individual mistake, which was really a horror show. Now, so I'll just show it quickly for people that, he's in a position, sorry, I think this is the wrong one. This is it.
That was his first touch, the one before.
Yeah, this is kind of his first touch to control or kind of miscontrol in a sense. And then it kind of leads us over here. Now, the issue that I've got is Gabriel's pass is too lateral. It's poor. He should be passing it to kind of Ramsdale's right foot, especially because that's where he's facing, right? And this is one of the things as a coach that I really get annoyed with players is when you do have something under pressure, no problem. I don't need you to panic, but pass it to your dominant foot on the player. Odegaard doesn't do this all the time. Saka doesn't do it all the time, and it's a really easy thing to do. So when you face play and you're in trouble, pass it to the right, and that would actually put it in very good stead. But guys, one thing that I don't think gets talked about is Ben White here. While he had an excellent performance, I still make him man of the match. He doesn't scan, and if you watch back, he has to scan and be aware of Chan. In the back there, like I understand that Gabriel puts him under a bad position, but he has to be scanning because if he's alive to the pressure, even if Gabriel makes a bad pass, he's there to mop up. You know what I mean? So he really should do better. But I'll go around to everybody here. I don't want to spend too much time on it because I don't think there's too much to analyze. It's just a poor individual mistake. We really do know that he shouldn't be doing this. But I'll go to kind of Willow first, mate. What do you make of this? Essentially, is it just a simple poor moment of madness?
Yeah, pretty much. I think he takes too long to control the ball as well. I think that's actually what gets him more wrong. Like, as much as the pass is wrong and he should be getting it to Ramsdale's right foot, I think it takes too long to take it under control. If he gets it under control, he stuttered a couple times before he even passes it, which lets Chan actually get to that position to be there in the first place. If he's quicker to pass it, then the whole mistake doesn't happen at all. Even if it is a bad pass, there's no one near it to even pounce on it.
Yeah, no, exactly. And he was being targeted by a press, but he was dealing with the press. Like when people are saying that he's a build-up pressing trigger, look, Gabriel is a build-up pressing trigger because, people think that he's really poor on the ball, but he's been immense in terms of his gait, his between the line passing, and he had a really improved second half too. If you go back, I encourage everyone to watch. We're going to get to the second half, but the last 20 minutes is what changed the game. And there was a tactical change that was mentioned by Roberto Martinez that I haven't seen on the timeline, but you get the special stuff here at BoP and we will tell you about it. But essentially, it came from Gabriel being really dominant in that left half space between the lines. So he definitely improved. He took some time to get there. He struggled. He had a poor moment of madness mistake. But I'm tired of this narrative that, he's just a poor player, period. Like, I think there's no nuance here. And it's something that he struggles with where it's not really his touch, it's actually his setting of the ball. So he's worked a lot on his gait and he opens his body really well. But that's kind of second touch to release is something that he delays all the time. He hasn't mastered.
He never takes one.
Exactly. But they're working on it. Like you can see his body shape being, kind of fixed with a lot of the coaches. I think that's the next step. That's the next step that you fix technically. But as we go on, lads, like after this, we basically get that goal. All the heads drop, like all the group chats that I was in. I don't know about you guys in the comments. You let me know if it was different, but it was like, here we go again.
Let me speak because I didn't think like obviously that before that happened, I wasn't scared we were gonna lose. We had chances, they had a chance maybe like the offside goal, but apart from that, like the mistake annoyed me because it was so indecisive from him because the ball was bouncing before he like here where he took this touch. Obviously, there's so much time for him. He could even pass to Tierney if he wanted to.
Well, he mishit it on his thigh, right?
Yeah, that was his first touch, but the ball was bouncing before he even took the touch, and then Tierney on the other side had a similar situation, and he just kicked it out of play. But that's what he would do, like, just kick it out of play. But he was so indecisive that it just gave a goal for free, and it was reminiscent to something that we've done in the past with our centre backs and stuff. But after this, like I was not scared that we'd lose. Obviously, the win probability, and they started saying all the facts that we haven't won from half time in like 19 games. Wolves haven't lost when they've scored first in 3 years, and all these stats will just start. They start dwelling in your mind the longer you go to the game. Like you hit the 80th minute and it's still 1-0. Like then you start getting scared. But straight after this, I was like, "Nah, we're fine." I thought,
I was completely different with that. I must admit, I knew the statistics before they even read them. So I thought when we went 1-0 down, it's not just about us; it's about Wolves this season. They only conceded one against City. Liverpool had to score against them in the 90th minute to get a goal. Tottenham didn't score against them. Chelsea, there was a 0-0 draw. They don't concede. Like we have the highest XG against Wolves out of any other team in the Premier League. Like it's crazy. I really didn't see us coming back from that, just on how good defensively Wolves are.
Well, the thing is, mate, like I was just seeing chances, and Thomas Partey started putting himself on the ball, and it was after that 15 minutes. And like I said, we were hairy for the first. I think Yo-Yo had an earlier comment, which is fair. The first half of the first half was hairy, and then after that, it was just total domination. And like a lot of that, by the way, is Bukayo Saka brilliance, shock horror. The man does the Jordan rules, and even after that, he bursts into space. He finds Odegaard, who, again, I hate to because he had such a good game, but another game with another weak foot finish that was hesitated and blocked on.
At least this time he hit it.
And at least he hit it.
He
At
took
least
time. Last
yeah.
time he just didn't want to do it, so he just started dribbling.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
glad though, because he did hesitate, but he did actually take a player out by hesitating there, and then he shot it into another player. But he took
Not
the
for
player
me.
out of the final action.
I no, because for me, you hit that first time, you control left, and then you hit it into the far corner. What
He
his
took an
delay?
extra touch.
Yeah,
At least now is there's more of an instinct to hit it, but generally,
Yeah.
like last game versus Brentford, he just took the touch and then just started dribbling into the corner to try to spin out. But this time, at least he tried to hit it, and Cody blocked it.
I'm sure the coaches must have picked up on that, because I noticed the fact that he actually shot. Usually he wouldn't have even kicked it with his right. So I'm thinking,
but you know what? It wasn't even just him, guys. Sorry, just really, I think everybody in general is shooting more. Like just in general, it's one of the things in the attack. So again, I'm not going to
even just
hammer
shooting for me, like even just with the passing, like
release.
Everyone's more decisive and the release is quicker.
Yeah,
like, even with Partey, like a big thing that people his awareness of where he is and what to do has very much improved, and why people are saying he's more suited to being a six now. He just more risk of he takes less risks. That sometimes I'd see him try to dribble past 4 players whilst he's playing in the DM position, but now he wouldn't do that. He just more knowledge of when to release it, and obviously it's improving, and I'm happy that he took the shot. But like next time, I hope he takes a shot even earlier. And
but this is why. Mate, this is why Odegaard's form has improved. Like, I mean, people use this as a stick to beat you with, but he's doing some of the things that I've asked him to do. Be better in technical security. Be better offering an option into out. See, now you make a point here about you not liking his profile, and of course, again, thanks so much for the super chat, mate. We really appreciate it. But whenever he starts, we dominate on the ball. I would argue it's not necessarily him starting that's doing it. It's him doing the off the ball things, going into out, adding that positional fluidity, him being more secure on the ball. When he gets hit, he doesn't lose possession. This isn't Brighton. This isn't Palace. This is a different player adding some of those things. And if you're going to do those things consistently, I have no problem with you and the team. I'm going to praise you. I'm going to praise you for those things.
Like, this season, like obviously, West Ham, we performed well as a team, but it was the first time I've seen him like unfit. And ever since then, he's been fitter than he was before. And he's just attacked the sides more. He's more willing to overlap and stay touchline high, not deep. Obviously, he'd go touchline deep, but high. He's more willing to stay touchline high and allow Saka, allow Cedric, allow these guys to come inside. And even Pepe, like when Pepe came on, Odegaard was allowing him inside, because if you're going to take out the man, I think he's just understanding I'm more willing to give away. And I think that just comes with him being more comfortable.
But
like,
you see it here, mate. Like this is so clear. Like and this is the thing. Odegaard of previous would be where Cedric is. Yeah. Odegaard of previous would be where Cedric is, and we would have Tommy high up the pitch. And I know it's a semantic thing for people to say, and I know people might say, "Oh, you're just doing it kind of to argue some semantics," but it's a big reason as to why we get up the pitch. It's a huge reason for why that's able to happen. So for me, guys, like it was a big, really nice change. But look, after that, we just started getting chance after chance. Ben White did his thing in midfield. We started doing that over the top hit. I think at 20 minutes that releases Saka. He needs to do better. He's 1v1 with the keeper. So he has to do better in that situation. But then as the half kind of goes on, we just start dominating, guys. And, I think there was a chance also at around 30 minutes when Laka actually goes wide and, Martinelli's inside and he has that first touch that is just a little bit over the bar, if you guys do remember that.
He needed to hit that before. Again, he took a touch and tried to round the keeper. He needed to just hit that.
That annoyed everyone. All the players were shouting at him because he could have laid it off to Saka, laid it off to Odegaard. They were both shouting at him because he went alone and swiveled and missed. But we just started, the chances just increased. We had, 10 shots in the first half, and Wolves had 3.
Which was the most that anyone's managed.
Yeah, so after that, after them like not doing the first 5 minutes wasn't that good. But after that, we just dominated the half in all things, like, apart from doors, obviously.
Yeah, and of course, and look, I want to be fair. At the end of the half, we have a really scary kind of chance. Sorry, not at the end of the half. It's actually a good transition. The beginning of the half when that Jimenez, header, kind of just off the top, like we're just starting, 45 minutes in, and there's that header that goes wide. I was like, come on, guys, wake up. And I think that was definitely something that we did, but it wasn't for an extended period of time, right? So basically that's why I still say from the 15 minutes onward we were dominant, and the stats kind of prove it. But I'll go basically first off to Willow. What did you make of us coming out in that second half? We're still 1-0 down, but we've had all these chances. What did you make of kind of the impression of how the team started that second half?
I was really nervous because we did have so many chances and we didn't take them, and I was like, we can't have this many. No one has this many chances against Wolves. I thought
it's another one of those nights.
Literally, I was like, we're not doing it. When it got to half time as well, and I knew the stat of 15 losses, 4 draws, I thought, no. And I was like, we had so many opportunities to get it to 1-1 or even be winning, and we didn't do it. I thought Wolves are going to come out a lot better. We're going to probably come out deflated that we didn't take our chances, but we didn't. We came out killers. We came out, and that Arteta team talk must have been absolutely brilliant. And he did touch on it himself in the interview about what, basically telling the players to take responsibility. This is your opportunity. And they took it on board, didn't they? They just came out and kept going and kept going and kept going. And you would have thought at one point they're going to get deflated the 60th minute, the 70th minute. No, they just kept going the whole game. And I think it really shows what the team's mentality is like now. They are absolute killers. Every single one of them is a killer on that pitch.
Yeah, it was their opportunity to prove that they deserve to be where they are, and they're not gonna keep faltering at every single time we have a game in hand. Because if every single time, like you can see in the fan base, that every single time we have a game in hand, and or if we win this game, we go above so and so. If we win this game, we're 1 point behind so and so. Everyone in the fan base just starts getting scared. Oh, we're gonna lose because this is a chance to get top 4, and it was finally a chance for them to come back from behind in different fashion to actually prove people wrong. And obviously now they did, but in the moment a lot of people were scared, even me.
Yeah, it's only natural. Like, I know I'm a robot and I don't feel emotions, but at the end of the day, it is only natural. Sorry?
No. I'm going to cut you off there. That is not true. He feels emotion. Laka was frustrating you the whole game.
Yeah,
the goal frustrated you. You were very emotional during Wolves, 100%.
Yeah, but I was never worried about losing the game because we were just having so many chances in terms of this. And look, at the end of the day, I think everyone praises Wolves for kind of their defensive solidity and all of that. But like, guys, when that goes wrong, you get the Emery. And no offense, I think that's what happened with him. He was too set on accepting the draw, and we started seeing niggly fouls, then time wasting. It was so ironic the way the second half went.
They were time wasting from the 30th minute. That free kick they got in the corner.
Yeah,
Lacazette was arguing with the ref. He is wasting time. He's not playing with the ball. And he just kept doing that all half, and then carried on into the second half. It was rubbish. Like, they kept doing it, even with the substitution. Like, that substitution took 5 minutes, 3 minutes.
It's why I call Neves a bitch, because he just is. Like, you can't come with chest and start doing that talk about they just sat in, they defended, and then play that way. Like, you're such a bitch.
They all came with chest. Let's just be honest.
Connor Cody did it too.
Cody, yeah.
I tried at him on Twitter, but I couldn't find it. But
I hate when bench players. I hate when bench players talk like starters. I hate it. And then you've got like this entire team, and Bruno Lage himself, who everyone loves, and because he smiles and he's cute and yada yada, everyone forgives it. But he was talking with Chess before the game, the exact same thing. And then after the game, he started backtracking. So I'm not having it.
But all of them did though. After the game, they were starting saying that this is a very good team. After we scored, we couldn't do anything. They pinned us back like no other team has done before, and we didn't deserve to win. Like, they weren't speaking the same way after the game.
People are starting to hate us though, because even Connor Cody was saying we don't like them, and I love that. It just shows what we're becoming.
The one thing I'm really happy about is this game, because the big problem in the narrative and from the Wolves' perspective was how they celebrated. Like, why are they celebrating like they just won the league? Why are they celebrating like they just got Champions League? And the celebration this time was even bigger than it was
exactly
last time, which was incredible to see. Honestly, it was incredible just for the narrative.
Yeah, Z mate, how'd you feel about that?
No, honestly, that I was like literally. I think I recorded a video and uploaded it, and I was like, "Celebrate, bitch, celebrate!" And just purely because this was the game where we kind of. I feel like we had to celebrate even in an even bigger way, and I'm so glad we did it in that fashion.
Yeah, mate. And look, guys, I kind of preluded it earlier, but guys, no one on the timeline is talking about a tactical switch. Does anybody know what Mikel Arteta did with his substitutions, which I think is just a phenomenal little segue? Again, see now, mate, thank you so much for your super chat, but it's a beautiful segue here because I talked about this. It was amazing. There was a system change. There was a tactical change, and Roberto Martinez mentioned it actually in that prime kind of interview and post match, but he didn't talk about the specifics. But does anybody know? And if not, I'll answer. Don't worry. But does anybody know the system change that we did? Open floor question.
I swear, didn't we go to like a 2-2-5 or something? I don't even know. All I know is I retract my statement because I chatted so much about when he did this stuff. When he said this stuff, I was like, he's done this before, like last season. It's not gonna work. It's not gonna work. Why has he done this? And then I was just sat there like, fair enough.
Guys, another example of when I start saying he is more Wenger than Pep than people realize. We put a striker on by taking off a fullback. Who in your career as an Arsenal fan has done that before? But it was more than just that. It was more than just going two up top. It was actually, we kind of went to this 3-3-4, and Granit Xhaka started to dictate play. Granit Xhaka switched flanks as well. And Nicolas Pepe, everybody in the chat, BoP fans, get your notebook out. George Voutsas is going to sit there and praise Nicolas Pepe because that boy's cameo was phenomenal. It was immense. It was really, really good. He was holding the width very, very well. He was even backtracking. I know that, I think it was Chanley that had that chance kind of towards the end, and, Odegaard stopped running because he actually felt that he was backtracking. But I love the energy that he took. And by going 3-3-4, we switched it. So again, just to kind of go over a view when we were having that possession, we did have a 2-3-5. Okay. And why that was good is because it would kind of combat really the half space issue that we were having earlier on in the game. But by going 3-3-4, we pushed their wing backs back. They no longer could go high because we had an extra channel out wide. And Eddie and Laka were two people that, again, hate to do it, they played well. Both of them. Eddie was stretching play while Laka was coming deep. And when Granit switched to the right-hand side, okay, he opened everything up. I would encourage everybody to kind of go back and watch, okay? Because Pepe was holding his width, he was doing his job. He wasn't ball watching, but when Granit switched play, he was able to find people between the lines. And guys, this killed Wolves. And it was literally from that 70th minute on when that tactical switch happened from Martinelli, who again was having a poor day. He was having a tough day. So I think doing that really opened the pitch. And at the beginning, of course, Pepe wasn't on the right wing. They actually switched flanks. And that was really what happened when Eddie came on. And that was when the real tactical kind of solution happened, where we basically got a Bukayo Saka who's okay touchline. He's able to come and do things, a lot of the things that Pepe can't do in general play, but we gave Pepe the finisher role. And guys, so I'm going to have to part credit Pepe, but part narcissism pat on the back because that's what I do. As a finisher, he did exactly what we needed, guys. This is when I talk about it, finishing as a squad, when I talk about having somebody as a finisher, this is what I wanted to see. He changed the narrative of the game, and that was really the big tactical switch. So I really think that as I kind of highlighted this before, I know a lot of people don't like to hear it because, it goes against narrative, but I did say have Pepe as a finisher, and you will see him regain his value. Have Pepe as a finisher, you will also increase his confidence, increase his value to the team, but increase his value globally because his asset has really tanked. And you can't go overboard and then say to then replace Saka. He's still our most important player, and he absolutely was critical in this game. But again, there is a place for Nicolas Pepe in this team as a squad option, as somebody who is a finisher that is able to sit there and affect a game when things aren't going well. And by the way, it wasn't just Nicolas Pepe. Eddie Nketiah was super important for stretching play as well. He was the reason really that the goal actually came about. If you're really thinking, he was stretching the pitch and he opened the space for Granit to switch when he was on the right-hand side. So enough of my talking. I'm going to go basically to Willow and around the table. What did you guys think of this tactical change? Because I didn't see it anywhere on the timeline, but I also didn't see it on the post-match. Like, did you guys see that when you guys were watching? Or Did you guys have a different thought?
No, yeah, definitely. I think the tactical change was absolutely brilliant. I think Jacko was so good conducting the play. I think Eddie on that half turn as well. Eddie came deep actually a lot of the time to actually bring the ball forward on that, and he kept on half turning the ball's players. I think it was a game of half turns as well. Jesus Christ, the amount of times Party dropped his shoulder and just kept on
Yeah,
half turning
bro.
and driving into space was absolutely incredible. And then to be able to let Pepe come on the inside instead of being touchdown, because we know how bad Pepe can be on the touchline, to actually be able to come on the inside. And again, credit to Erdegaard's play to being able to be comfortable going more touchline and actually allowing someone to have that space. And the link up play that then Eddie was doing inside the box as well. It was just such a beautifully orchestrated goal. Erdegaard's beautiful pass over the top, Eddie's lovely turn pass, and then and Pepe just looks a new man, doesn't he? With the encouragement he's got now and the kind of the graces Arteta's given him, the turn and the finish, it was from a very confident player, and the tactical switch really, really worked like a dream.
Yeah, no, like I'll go to Chris, like just really quickly, mate. Like I think that this change in terms of Granit Xhaka going onto the right was absolutely massive because Saka was touchline left wing, and we know how good he can be there, and we know how effective he's almost more penetrative on the left, but he contributes more to our play on the right. But the biggest thing that I'm really seeing is Granit Xhaka was key here, but also Gabriel. Okay, that Neves chance, it was deflected. We basically concede a goal. And I'll go to Z actually on this one, but mate, look at Gabriel's kind of redemption. He was at fault in the first half for a very poor kind of individual mistake, but then he is responsible for giving the ball to Saka so quick between the lines. It was excellent. I saw nobody highlighting it. They said Gabriel's poor technically, and then they don't mention the last 20 minutes when he is responsible for really releasing Saka so quick, so often. And of course, he has that deflected shot on Pedro Neto's chance, I think, at like the 85th minute that could have lost it for us. Like, what do you make of Gabriel in the discourse? Like, it goes either from one end of the spectrum to the other, and there's no nuance.
But I think last season when he got his, when he started getting a bit of criticism, it was fairly deserved because he had some problems with his short passing, his gay, and all of that. Honestly, this season he's addressed all of those all of those weaknesses, and I feel like now the narrative is just becoming like it's coming from some weird place where you just feel like he's not a good player. I think he's genuinely a very, very good defender, and just based on that one mistake he did against he did against Wolves, I feel like people were tarnishing his entire performance. I actually think he had a very good game, despite him, being a bit nervous on the ball. He was still giving the ball back as quick as possible to Ben White, and he was making some crucial tackles. There was a time when there was a cross coming in from the right, and if he didn't make that last ditch header, there was someone coming in the far post ready to head it in. Like, he was very crucial to us, and of course that was a Neto shot that went through his legs. That literally was a game saver because if that goes in, that's it. It's game over. Like, we're not coming back from that. So I feel like people are trying to discredit him. You know what it is? It's just this narrative with this whole Arsenal fan base that when there's one, when we like kind of throw out a scapegoat, we bring one back in, and now Gabriel's the next scapegoat, and he's gonna have a few good performances. We're gonna start blaming Kieran Tierney again, and it's just gonna go around in a circle. It's just that I'm not taking any notice from any fans about Gabriel. I think he's been brilliant this season.
Yeah, no, exactly. And look, guys, at the end of the game, the beautiful time wasting is actually the narrative that gave us the time to find that equalizer. And we're going to get into it really quickly. Essentially, they time waste at the 88th minute. Then, Bukayo Saka does what Bukayo Saka does at the left wing. He almost cuts in, beats 2 or 3 men. He almost gets a great goal. And it was an excellent save from Jose Sa in a strong left hand because Saka comes in on his right, strong, weak foot finish. And, Saw is excellent. He meets the mark. He's great to that, but it was excellent play by Bukayo. And then the ball trickles itself out, okay, gets out to the right-hand side. And, of course, Odegaard has a beautiful piece of play of finding Lacazette. But Laca's the key here. Look, I hate Baldy. Yeah, he was raising my blood pressure. Okay, he was. I won't lie. But that was a beautiful touch. You could just tell. You know how I know that Laka's gonna have a good game is when he stops the ball and he actually uses his bunda for good instead of using it for bad, and he ends up turning people. You could see it in the first half. You could see the way he was interacting with the fans to get out for it. You could just tell that man was on a mission that day. And you got to feed the fire when a player is doing that. You just got to feed it. And you know, when you do have Pepe in the move, like he does recover it well, but really it is Lacazette. You know, Odegaard gets a touch, but Laka gets the consequential touch, and then Pepe has a beautiful through ball. He keeps his composure, right? And you know, Laka does his job. He finishes his dinner, which he hasn't been able to do all season. So credit to the man. We basically destroy the narrative in the last minute of play, and it was just beautiful scenes of emotion, beautiful scenes of glorious emotion, I might add. And you just love to see it. So, guys, let's just go around the table really quickly. Reviews for the game. What you think this meant essentially in projections, because I know we talked about it a little bit at the beginning, but guys, you finally got your obstacle. So, Willow, let's go there first, mate. What do you make of kind of the fallout from this game? We're now 45 points, 1 point behind United, 2 games in hand. By the way, the idiots on the timeline that are saying, "Oh, now you're 2 games in hand, FC." Guys, they still have to go to the same places. Games in hand only works when you don't have to play those and you've played those teams.
You can't say the same thing because we've been winning our games in hand. Like,
But there's that. But there's that.
Chris.
There's that, Chris. But they haven't played those games. The people that are doing it are United fans. They're actually idiots. They're so stupid. But anyways, Willow, mate, what do you make of the game?
It's just brilliant. Like 9 games now, 7 wins, 1 draw, 1 loss. I think it's an absolute narrative killer for the first time Arteta comes back, and you know we've actually come back from a half-time loss. I think, you know, we're changing all the things we want to change. Like records are being broken. We've got the 3rd highest home record in the league. We're now on 4 wins away from home as well. If we win our 5th game away from home, so if we win against Watford, this is 5 wins I think away in the league. I think we haven't done that since 1982. That was the last time we've done that. So, we're 5 games in a row winning. Like, we're just in an incredible state at the moment. And I think it's not just it's the fans' mentality. I think it's the way people are looking at us mentality. I think it's the team's mentality. I think there's a real shift now on what we are as a football club and what we're looking to achieve. I think what's his name? Peter Drury. His commentary for it was absolutely fantastic. The way he was talking about the Champions League, the £1 million goal, like I think Z's got a beautiful little thing to talk about as well. A great comparison what he's going to talk about. But it's just what a fantastic game. The emotions. I think it's one for the memories. As I said, I was in that 90th minute celebrating with my dad. It's a beautiful moment for Arsenal fans. I think it's a real game changer for us.
I think that's a beautiful transition. Z, mate, go ahead with your analogy. What does that remind you of? What's the fallout?
It's just reminding me, you know what I just keep on saying, for every team there is a turning point. And I felt like that game against Middlesbrough where Liverpool was playing, we were all watching the game, and when Ronaldo scored the goal, that was the turning point of of where they are now. And that exactly, when Lacazette scored, that was I really got the same feeling. I really feel like this goal is a turning point for us as a club and where we go and where we are heading in the future. Honestly, I feel like this is a massive statement, and I feel like people are severely underrating this win. Like this does that leaps and bounds for the players, the feelings, and just the whole general feeling around the club. The fans, the people around the Emirates were going mad yesterday. People don't understand how big this was for us, and honestly, like I'm so excited for the next few games because we'll see how how we're jumping with with full confidence from this team.
Yeah, and look, last but not least, Chris, mate, it was one of those times that you hug a stranger. It was one of those times that you start, basically, you look back, and it was a moment in time. And, as Sherlock says, it was a moment, and, when you do look at it, you're losing your shit. You're analyzing people, but it's just an emotion. Enough of this tactical nonsense. It was just bloody brilliant. It was bloody brilliant to see. That makes us now the 3rd best home team in the league, only behind Liverpool and City. We've only lost 2 games at home. Like, that's not top 4. That's title challenging form. If you could replicate that away, it would be title challenging. So, like, this idea that the Emirates isn't a fortress anymore is stupidity. It is an absolute fortress, and anybody coming there is going to get a game, aren't they?
Yeah, that shot, the goal really did a lot for us statistically, obviously, in the emotion and all that stuff, but it put us like 3rd highest shots on target in the league, like all this stuff to just continuously increase. And I think the moment was like obviously Laka's had a moment like similar to that earlier this season with the Crystal Palace 94th minute. I was there, yeah, and that I hugged some random man, yeah, but he hugged me, and then we celebrated it, and then obviously I'm taking a break from the Emirates. I went too much, and I kind of regret not going yesterday. Obviously, like it was a big game because obviously I've been on the other end of it, and it feels very bad for the Wolves fans. I can tell it felt very bad because like first Man City, it was like this. We suffered basically the same thing in the other way around, but to win like that, with all the talk before the game, with them saying they're gonna beat us and that they're seeking revenge. We can't celebrate. We won't be celebrating like that at the Emirates and all this stuff. And it's the first time in a while we beat them twice in the season. Like we got the double over them, and now it's just like we can put them past us because a lot of what everyone has been saying now is that we've got 14 finals left to go. We've got a final every single game, and this was a very big game. But I'm happy that we finally won a game with a team on par in a moment of pressure, because last season we probably would have maybe drew or probably lost. Like the stats tell you that we go in half time, we're losing, we're not gonna win the game. But this season the mentality shift has been crazy, and then everybody was just united. All the fans, all the rivals were absolutely outraged the way we won. Like they hated it so much.
You just
It was just great to see.
Inject the tears, put it on an IV drip, flick it in, and
I'm
put
so
it
happy.
into my
Yes, let's cut
veins.
you off there. I'm just so happy it was Laka to score because
It had to be him.
Maybe if it was like Saka or someone else, like obviously we'd be. I think I'm happier because like it was the person I least expected to put it in the back of the net.
It's a known goal on my part. I'm not even letting
Yeah.
that Laka annoyed me that
another
game.
assist. That's a sick for the assist of the season.
Yeah,
That was crazy.
It was immense, guys. Really quickly, because we will do a transfer pod. We haven't really got through, but we really Arsenal Champions League winners, mate. Thank you so much for the super chat. We really appreciate it. Let's cover it really quickly. I know it's not a transfer pod, but João Felix links. I do think it's coming a little bit more from his agent than the player. I don't think that we're looking at a false nine profile long term. That's not something that I think we do. But that boy can play. Jugo Bonito, that boy can play. Z-Mate, like really quickly, is this kind of agent link speculation? I think it's way too early without really March or April to get into it.
I mean, it's one of those. It's one of those links that's been kind of brewing since these. I think since the last summer. So it's one of those things where if he was available, Arteta would definitely go in for him. He's one of those players that if you're available, you'd go for it regardless of plan, etc. So yeah, it's not an agent thing. It's there's also an interest from Mikel, and it's been happening for a while now.
Yeah, I don't think it's something that we're going to be going to. I'll be honest, and especially with his release clause, it's like it's 120 million euros. We have a great relationship with Atletico Madrid, don't we? So it's not as though we're going to get a bargain on that. But yeah, lads, we're kind of approaching that time. Earlier on, it was people saying kind of the stuff about the Amazon Prime, and I love reminding people, essentially of that, right? Like I think that people are forgetting that Amazon Prime are recording all of these beautiful scenes of glorious emotion. And for me, I think the episode title is Sliding Doors. And so I don't want to kind of hypocrisize myself. I've said I don't think that this performance changes anything for me. Like narrative
anything
for sure.
For what, like
it doesn't change anything for our quest for top four. It never will. But from a narrative perspective, it does massive amounts of things. People think that we can't face and win teams against our rivals. Check mark. People think that we can't lose after going behind. Check mark. People think that we can't continue to apply pressure when our rivals drop points. Check mark. Like these are things that I think a lot of people look at, and especially people that maybe weren't high on Arteta, right? Like people that weren't maybe as high as a lot of the people on the panel were. Like they look at performances like these and it checks a lot of boxes for them. So I think on one hand, narrative, it's beautiful. It is beautiful scenes of emotions. I think it's going to be a sliding doors moment for top four, but I always maintained, let's focus on our own lawn. Let's make sure that we're keeping this consistency of outcome against teams outside the top six. And I guarantee you will be there. Not only that, I'll go further. I've said it on the stream. I've said it in preseason, so it's not like it's new. But just to kind of dig up the archives, we're going to confirm top 4 by March. Like, it's going to happen. So I think when people get, nervous and stuff, just keep that stuff in mind. But guys, there are so many people of you guys watching. It's been such an interactive video. We hope you guys really enjoyed the visuals. Really quickly, let's pull up the prediction tables for everybody. Just a reminder, no one really got the score right, but just up there, your man is up
Imagine,
top.
yeah, I got the score right in a bet, but not here.
I said it as well when Emil Smith-Rowe wasn't in.
Yeah, when he got injured, I changed my bet to 2-1.
Yeah, the bastard had to get injured. But anyways,
Or COVID.
we move.
COVID?
Yeah, it was COVID now. He didn't have COVID before, but now they have
Arteta
COVID.
said stomach problems, which is
Yeah.
weird.
But look, at the end of the day, I also think what's kind of good to know is there's no isolation. I was informed by Z that you guys in the UK have changed your COVID protocol. So even if you do get COVID, like, there's no isolation for it now. So
he gets a negative.
Yeah, so he's fine. Like, I mean, at the end of the day, he'll be back for Watford, which is 9 days away. Guys, I just want a big thank you to everybody because the interaction has just been unbelievable of late. We're hoping that this stuff is improving for you guys. If you guys got any constructive criticism, please leave it in the comments below. Make sure that you like, comment, subscribe. You hit that bell for post notifications. You can find us on Twitter at BoP Footy. Of course, you can find us on the socials down below. You can find me at GeorgeV_AFC. Willow Mate, how about you?
The one Willow.
There we go. Z Mate, where can they find you?
Prav Arsenal Z.
There we go. And Chris Mate, where can they find you?
Well, you can find me at CK. I don't know why I stole that. And you can find Curran at Curran BOP.
Yeah, absolutely. And look, Yo-Yo, mate, happy to bring you. But guys, we are happy to announce that we can finally do memberships. And, we are going to bring you guys some membership content. It is coming, and it may come as soon as, next week. So, guys, if you are feeling inclined, we'd absolutely love it. Please get involved, sign up, and, we'll make all that stuff available for you guys. On the League Cup specifically, we're going to do a whole League Cup review. So we did say that we're not just doing Arsenal. We're bringing you guys more content. We heard you. We're going to bring it. So we're going to have a Liverpool Chelsea review next week. And guys, just keep making sure that you guys help us out in terms of commenting the constructive criticism. But this is excellent. We're going to put that that Lacazette picture, and I think that's a beautiful way to basically kind of sign it off because we have put ourselves in a position for top 4. I'd just like to thank everybody once again, and we will catch you guys probably on Monday when we discuss the Liverpool Chelsea review. So thank you so much, and we're signing off.